What if I told you that the road to Little St. James didn't just run through Hollywood or Wall Street, but through the server rooms of Silicon Valley? We are told these men are visionaries, the architects of our future. They promised to build a better world. But while they were publicly disrupting industries, private flight logs show they were disrupting lives. The document you are about to see isn't just a list of names. It is a map of how the smartest men in the room walked right into a trap. Or maybe they walked in willingly. I'm Mark Epstein, and this is the Epstein Files. We often think of Jeffrey's world as one of old money, mansions in Palm Beach, townhouses in Manhattan. But Jeffrey was obsessed with the future. And to control the future, you need the people building it. Throughout the 2010s, while the world was looking at their IPOs, my brother was looking at their vulnerabilities. Today, we are opening the files on the tech bros, the billionaires, the founders, the supposed geniuses, who flew on the chaotic airspace of the Lolita Express. We are going to look specifically at the unsealed records from Jeffrey versus Maxwell, case number 15 CV 07433, filed in the Southern District of New York. These documents, finally brought into the light, connect the dots between 9 East 71st Street and the headquarters of the world's most powerful tech companies. Why were they there? They claim it was for fundraising. They claim it was philanthropy. But here's where it gets disturbing. Let's start with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, the breeding ground for Silicon Valley talent. According to a 2020 investigation conducted by Goodwin Procter, Jeffrey Epstein made at least 9 visits to the MIT campus between 2013 and 2017. That is after his 2008 conviction, after he was a registered sex offender. The report reveals that Joi Ito, the former director of the MIT Media Lab, accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars from Jeffrey. But it wasn't just checks, it was access. Ito resigned in 2019 after the New Yorker revealed he tried to conceal the source of the donations. But the question remains, who did Jeffrey meet through that lab? Let's look at the flight logs. July 24, 2013, a Gulfstream flight from Teterboro, New Jersey to Palm Beach. On board, a roster of scientists and tech investors. Court documents unsealed in January 2024 list a prominent name in artificial intelligence, Marvin Minsky. In a deposition given by Virginia Giuffre on May 3, 2016, she was asked specifically about Minsky. The testimony was clear. The silence was louder. Pause. She testified that she was directed to have sexual relations with him, a founder of AI, a man revered in the Valley, named in a federal deposition as a participant in the abuse. Source: Giuffre deposition. Case 15 CV 07433, unsealed document 1320. Minsky is deceased. He cannot defend himself, but the document remains. And paper has a longer memory than power. 5/5/30. The revelation point. It's easy to dismiss Minsky as the old guard, but the web goes much deeper, right into the pockets of the men building the social networks you use every day. Now, if you're still here, it means you can handle the truth. So let me show you what they didn't want you to see. Let's talk about Reid Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn, a man who connects the world's professionals. According to reporting by the Wall Street Journal, verified by Hoffman's own subsequent apology, he visited Little St. James. He claimed it was for a fundraising trip with Joi Ito. A quick stop. But why does a tech billionaire need to go to a private island owned by a sex offender to discuss science? And then there is the biggest name of all, Bill Gates. Gates has admitted to meeting Jeffrey. He called it an error in judgment. But let's look at the timeline. According to the New York Times, citing interviews and flight records, Gates met with Jeffrey multiple times beginning in 2011, 3 years after the Palm Beach conviction. On March 1, 2013, flight logs show Gates flew on Jeffrey's plane from Teterboro to Palm Beach. Gates's team stated he was not aware it was Epstein's plane. But in 2013, Jeffrey Epstein was radioactive. Everyone knew what he was. Yet, the meetings continued. At the townhouse in New York, discussions about a multi-billion-dollar charitable fund that never materialized. Why would the richest man in the world need Jeffrey Epstein to manage his philanthropy? Court documents don't give us the why. but they give us the who. And the who suggests that Jeffrey wasn't just a pariah. To these men, he was a gatekeeper. This is where the official story falls apart. We are told these tech bros were just looking for money, that Jeffrey was just a financier. But unsealed documents and reports from inside the townhouse reveal a darker obsession. Jeffrey wasn't just investing in tech, he was investing in transhumanism. According to accounts published in the New York Times and verified by visitors to the townhouse, Jeffrey pitched these Silicon Valley titans on eugenics, on DNA modification, on cryonics. He wanted to use his wealth and their technology to seed the human race with his own DNA. These meetings weren't about charity, they were about immortality. The tech bros weren't just victims of a scammer. They were an audience for a madman who believed he was above the biological laws of nature, just as he believed he was above the laws of the United States. When you look at the names in the Jeffrey vs. Maxwell unsealing, names that were redacted for years, you realize why the fight to keep them secret was so expensive. This isn't just about a few bad trips to an island. This is about the culture of Silicon Valley, a culture that prioritizes disruption over morality, a culture that looked at a convicted predator and saw a useful connection. The Southern District of New York has closed the case on Jeffrey. They say he acted alone. But you cannot run a blackmail operation of this scale without leverage. And what better leverage is there than the secrets of the men who control the internet? If these men were compromised, what does that mean for the platforms they built? The platforms we trust with our data? Marvin Minsky? Reid Hoffman? Bill Gates? Names that represent progress. Names that appear in the flight logs and the unsealed files. They have their explanations. They have their PR teams. They have their errors in judgment. But explanations don't erase ink. PR teams can't unfly a plane. The documents exist. They are in the public record, sitting in the archives of the Southern District of New York, waiting for anyone brave enough to read them. The powerful bury the truth. But paper has a longer memory than power. If this episode opened your eyes, hit subscribe and the bell icon because every file matters. Comment below. Do you believe the fundraising defense? Or do you think there's more to these meetings? I read every single one. Share this before it disappears from your feed. Next file. We're going back to the beginning. The money trail that started it all. I'm Mark Epstein, and I'll see you in the next file.